Hello, everyone, and welcome to Voice Global. My name is Jennifer Bonine, and I'm the CEO of Pinklion and the Pinklion Foundation. Our mission is to bring humanized AI to the world's teams. Today, we're going to talk about the real scoop on AI and tech and some of the advancements that are out there that have been made. We are demystifying AI. It seems like a buzzword a lot of times when we talk about where artificial intelligence is being leveraged in the world and what its uses are. But we've been able to prove that even in areas where it has been challenging or hard to tackle, that we've been able to find ways to leverage AI even in those spaces. One of the spaces we did that in was in the gaming industry, working with companies to assist using AI to do a lot of the heavy lifting for them in their testing of video games. So in this presentation, we're going to talk about what is AI. We all hear the terms, but let's talk about what it really is and what that means. We're going to talk about approaches for leveraging AI in your tech teams, problems that can help you resolve, and a little bit about, will AI take tech jobs away? A lot of people want to know what's the impact to them, and then give you some opportunities at the end, if you stick with us, to learn more and advance your career around what AI and machine learning is. So let's get into it. What is AI really? So we'll just start with basic definitions. We hear the terms thrown around a lot, but artificial intelligence is just intelligence demonstrated by machines, in contrast to the natural intelligence displayed by us as humans. Now, we've seen a lot of different types of AI. The type in the movies, the type that we're actually using in real life today. You'll hear it referred to sometimes as general AI or narrow AI, looking at what it actually does and what the capabilities are. So when we talk then about machine learning is a field of computer science that uses statistical techniques to give computer systems the ability to, quote, learn with data. So what we're doing is feeding in data sets, allowing the machines to learn by looking at large mass amounts and volumes of data through algorithms without explicitly being programmed to know those things. So the beauty of machine learning in tech is that it is giving us the opportunity to scale at a level that's hard for us as humans to scale. Our brains just can't compute that much information all at once. So if we think about it very simplistically, AI is the bigger picture, machine learning is the subset inside of those different types of artificial intelligence that you hear talked about, that is the algorithms that create the statistics, using statistics and data to create that output that you see that gives us insights and information that is hard for us as humans to distinguish because we can't go through that many iterations and patterns on our own. It takes a very long time for a human to do that. So why is this becoming a bigger thing now? So we hear a lot more of this talked about because of two primary reasons. One of the things, so artificial intelligence machine learning has been around for many, many years. But what's changing in regards to this is two things. One is access to compute. Compute has gotten less expensive, so there's more access to it than there ever was before. So when that's expensive, only very large companies can afford to have the compute it takes to run very robust AI systems back in the 80s and 90s. What you're also seeing, because you have more access to compute, is other approaches being introduced. So more advanced neural networks that are being developed because you have more startups now in the field, increased folks looking at these different algorithms, lots more uses of it. So you're seeing more mature neural networks and other approaches being introduced into the field. When we talk about AI and software, this individual talks about how software is eating the world, but AI will actually eat software. So if we think about it in some of the futurists, when they talk about what they see for us in the world, is that right now, all of our jobs are X plus AI. At some point, we will all have a piece of AI in whatever job or task we are performing. So The idea being, if you think about 10, 15 years ago, how much we all relied on software and our cell phones, all the different apps we have on our phones, nothing compared to what we see today, right? We're using our phones all the time. We're using and constantly engaging with mobile apps and websites, software and programs to do all of our jobs. And then that will transform to be driven and powered primarily by artificial intelligence. So what are some of the problems we can leverage and solve with AI? So I break it down into 4 classification types to make it simple. One of the ones a lot of you, because you're watching this Voice Global conference, is what is the impact of audio or voice solutions? So that is one of the solutions or types of what we talk about for machine learning. So there's a couple of different areas. One is around text classification. The ability to look at different text and utilize artificial intelligence to determine differences that you're seeing in the actual text on the screen. The second piece is around image diffing. So what do you see differences in actual physical pictures or images that are displayed? Then we look at video clips. That's more that video game style where you're seeing things change. Inside the game itself, the screens change, the players change, the video, the surroundings have changed. And then the last one being audio or voice. So detecting differences in those clips of audio or music, songs, anything that's auditory that you're getting coming back in. So again, 4 primary areas that we look at. Now, don't just trust me. When we look at trends, we look to some of the folks that survey our large companies across the board and ask them, what are you concerned about? What do you think is going to be important for you coming up? So what we see is that Gartner surveyed and saw that AI and machine learning are the top thing that CEOs and C-level executives are expecting to be a game changer for them. Now, keep in mind, these studies were done pre-pandemic, pre-COVID. So now I would guess, to be very honest, that these numbers are going to get even larger. Because if we all think back to the last time we saw a financial crisis in 2008 in the US, what we saw was an economic downturn, and people had to do a lot more with less financial resources, less people resources, and people were asked to find innovative ways to solve problems. So one of the things that AI does is an innovative way to scale and create the ability to have virtual research assistants to assist in some of the tasks that normally you would be doing as a human, that now you can leverage AI to assist you. No surprise, and actually it's a good thing, I always say, that the second highest item on this list was data analytics. So this includes anything around predictive analytics. So with artificial intelligence and machine learning solutions comes a huge emphasis on data and the analytics that are produced out of the data that is being captured when you are running algorithms across your systems. So what is the fundamental problem we're seeing in tech that's driving this? What we see is that the amount of time that we have to get from idea to market is shrinking. We want to get products out faster than ever. We also have the issue of complexity. The solutions we're building are more complex than ever. So we have this increased complexity, we have the reduced time, which creates this gap in what we're able to cover as humans in the capability to get that tech released to market. So we need to look at ways to optimize and use these bots or virtual research assistants to assist us in doing some of the heavy lifting to get products out to market. One of the things we get when we utilize AI is what we call an app graph. What an app graph does, when you look at the pictures here on the screen, is it is crawling through this app and looking at all the places that these different elements are used on the page. So they're creating the complex structure and dense connection structure of how each of these elements on the page are interconnected to other elements on other pages inside that app. So it's building this virtual visual graph for us of how everything is connected inside that app, which gives us insights into things like if we make a change, what could it impact? If we make a certain modification, what do you need to test? Gives us a lot of insight and information when we look at these app graphs as the AI crawls. And every time you make changes, you're able to see a comparison of the last time you ran it, so you understand what exactly has been modified or changed. Also useful in production systems to know if someone else made a change you weren't anticipating they made. So understanding if maliciously someone maybe put something on your website or your mobile app that you weren't intending to be there. So let's watch a quick video just to give you some insight into how you actually train an AI bot when it's running across your mobile app or your website.
How we train our AI bots is very similar to how you train a puppy. We tell it what we want it to do, and if it does it, we give it a reward. So, if we tell the bot to find every place within an app, for example, that has a dog screen, and it goes out and finds the dog screen, we tell the bot, "Great job." The bot now has this new knowledge, where it can figure out the best way to get to the dog page, no matter where we start it within the app. To do this, we use app graphs. These are representations of all the different parts of the app and how they interact, and how those parts can flow from one to another. Once this is encoded in, the bot learns all the best ways, but also if anything changes in the app, it still can remember all the ways that it got to the dog page in the app before.
All right, so our video showed us just a simple way, not much different than how we train children, puppies, new pets that we have, how that actually works. So what we do know, one of the key challenges all teams have that do any testing on mobile apps or websites is that the World Quality Report, which is produced, again, surveying companies across the globe, is that the main priority we should be focused on is how are we ensuring what we're testing is driving end user satisfaction. So for business and tech teams, we need to ensure that we're doing the things that actually ensure our end users are happy about the product that we're producing. So how does AI assist us with that? Well, there's a couple of the ways that it can help us with the challenges that we're seeing in our teams. One is that scale item I mentioned. You can put in an AI system that will run on iOS, Android, different versions of browsers, cross-browser, cross-device, different types of form factors. So again, you're getting that scale. You have the capability to use one set of items to be able to test across all those different platforms and operating systems, devices, configurations. It's giving you that scale that you need. So that virtual research assistant that assists in that scale, leveraging AI bots to be able to do the heavy lifting. The other thing it can assist with is product decision making. So how it does that, I'll show you a little bit later, a few slides on how it can actually give insights into driving product roadmap and how you may actually make decisions around changes to the product itself. We'll also show a couple of competitor comparisons. Many of us don't have time to just check our own stuff, let alone look at competitor apps or websites, but this allows you a way or a mechanism to look at what you're doing compared to other folks in your space. It also helps inject test data that may be needed for different scenarios. It can do alerting in production from a consumer perspective, so you understand what the consumer is seeing. And then it actually speeds us up because, again, when we can hit that scale, when we can have the ability to do a lot of those virtual research assistant tasks on our technology platforms, it enables speed for all of us. So approaches for leveraging our AI and our tech. Again, don't just trust me. We looked at Gartner and said, what are they saying are some of the benefits when you put AI into your technology teams? So what they're saying is some of the business benefits of AI augmented development are promoting and enforcing consistency. So when you think about it, us as humans all do things slightly differently. You can give us all the same problem. We're all going to approach that problem in a potentially slightly different way and get to the answer. But when you put a bot on that problem, it's consistently going to look at the problem every single time. So again, what you won't have is some of what we call that human fatigue, where we look at something multiple times and we stop seeing it. The bots don't get that same fatigue when they're trained to look at things over and over again. They will consistently be able to identify the differences. It helps in detecting and isolating some of the weak points in where consistently through those app graphs we're seeing issues in the code. Maximizing that speed to market, helping us get out there faster, providing oversight by capturing insights of the developers who are very experienced, training and learning on the patterns those developers use in how they code and what they do, and then assisting newer developers by filling in knowledge gaps. Because when they watch what the bots do after they've trained off of those knowledgeable developers, we then are able to fill in some of the knowledge gaps as well. Using this particularly in your testing teams or organizations around your apps and websites, we know that this is becoming a bigger priority in teams. So over 60% of folks now, so this was again pre-pandemic, we've seen now the new survey that will be coming out shortly here has said that it's over 60% are focused on predictive analytics to help drive where they focus and what they do. The idea being we don't have endless amounts of time every day to do all the things we would like to do. So we have to have some mechanism to prioritize what we're focused on and which areas we're going to put our emphasis and effort on in testing. We know that almost half of companies are already using some type of intelligent automation. So again, not having it be where it's brittle, hard to maintain, but using intelligent automation solutions, leveraging AI to speed the time to get that automation in place, to speed the time to market. So what used to happen as an example, if you were on a cruise ship and you wanted to test out in the ocean, again, not many folks on cruise ships currently right now, but that will change in the future. What used to have to happen is you would have to send a team of technical folks. Little do some of you know it when you're cruise passengers, but mixed in amongst the guests will be IT staff that's driving all of the 200 plus screens, and depending on the size of the ship, that are on there, all of the mobile apps and the interfaces, everything that's going on that ship. But as you can see on the right, what you get when you leverage AI is the capability to have a bot on a ship running all of that remotely, where you don't need to load mass amounts of humans on those ships as technology professionals. You can load the bots on the ship. You work back from the land. They're able to get the information off of the ship running in real time on the same networks as the ship's running, sending that data and information back to the shore, giving insights on what needs to be done and fixes that need to be made by the teams. So what I think we'll see is you see three very different examples here. That the future of what we'll see in technology teams is identifying where the biggest wins are to leverage artificial intelligence inside of their technology processes. There's going to be many different uses, but I do think the future where we're going is that AI can assist us in any app, any platform, anywhere in the world, being able to check and validate that those things are working. And imagine having those virtual research assistants running in the background, so while you sleep at night, when you wake up in the morning, you have information on every platform, every type of device, anything that you needed to have run anywhere in the world, knowing exactly what happened and what's performing on those systems. It also gives us a lot of insights. So I mentioned that with AI comes a lot of analytics. So it's going to give insightful dashboards about what to do next based on the information you're seeing. So pulling all of that in to a centralized repository and location where you can see things like sentiment and what is the emotion of this customer. Is it positive, negative, passive, satisfied, aggressive? What are we seeing? Then the top categories of where the issues are, trending, the positive, negative sentiment over time, lots of different data that, again, us as humans would take mass amounts of times to compile, but the AI is able to do this in a fraction of the time we are. What we'll see, I mentioned it earlier, you're getting some of these insights on your own app, but also your competitive apps. What this is doing here is it's showing you after the AI runs how long it takes on each screen to move from one screen to another. So just a simple item of adding a shoe to a cart in this example on a retail site, it's telling you how long it takes to get to each screen, what it did, what the gesture was, what the timings were. You can even get CPU, memory utilization, lots of different performance statistics on how things are performing in your production environments as well as in your development environments. Then, because you can do that, you can grab your competitor's app and you can say, in this example, how many steps does it take to add a shoe to a cart? And you'll see very quickly when you look at these three folks, one of them takes many less steps than some others. You can see some differences in the load times and how long it takes to actually get from login to adding or get onto the site to adding a product or shoe to cart. You can also see that there's some differences in the load and the utilization on these apps as well. So it gives you a lot of different insights depending on what you're looking for. And this can be incredibly helpful on product decisions of if you're seeing patterns in your mobile app or your website with cart abandonment or different issues. This will help give some insights to drive, as I mentioned earlier, that product decision-making process to prioritize your product roadmap on where do you want to focus and those things that, as we mentioned, are really impactful or important to consumers and what do they want to know about. So again, industry comparisons, really cool technique. Leveraging AI, the same AI bots that you're using inside your system can be leveraged to run against your competitive systems as long as they're publicly available apps. You don't have to make changes to do that. It is a part of using an AI model. If it's working for you, you can run it across these other apps as well very quickly, under an hour to get this type of data. So pretty impressive. Question I always get a lot from people, will AI take tech jobs away? And the answer is it's going to shift, I think. For me, the answer for me at least is I see a shift in the tasks that people will perform. I think it's going to up-level the skills that are used by technology professionals, where they are going to be able to focus more on the critical thinking, the problem solving, the contextualized intelligence skills, the emotional intelligence skills, the rationalization of data and information. So I think it's going to shift the skills. I don't think that it does all of the things. It's going to take a long time. At some point, AI will do more and more. But right now, it has a limitation on what it can do and really needs, in my mind, the humans to be able to guide it. So, humanized AI is something we believe in, where you focus on what do humans do well. You focus on the things that are not as value add for a human to perform that task. You give those types of tasks to bots where they can do more of those menial tasks right now, those rote routine things, and allow you as a human to focus on the things that really require your brain, your critical thinking, your contextualized intelligence in the situation to move through that information and data. That's how I would look at this. Just a speed debrief, I always at the end of a session like to give you something to think about or some takeaways. Think about, some of you, are you using AI in your teams today? You may not even realize some of the business teams or other groups that are using it, but where and are you using AI today? And then once kind of today, if you map out, yep, I'm using it in this place, what tasks in your team, if you are or aren't using it, could you start using AI for? What are some of the tasks that would be things that would either speed up your time to market, they would speed up your teams, they would create some advantage for you from a competitive standpoint by having it? What are those things that would really add value for you inside your team? And then the last thing I would say is, looking at resources. So what websites, books, blogs, groups are you using to learn about AI or machine learning? Whether you see it today or a year from now or 5 years from now, at some point, all of us will have a component of our jobs that will be using AI. So it's good to get informed and updated on what's out there, understand for yourself, become educated. Because I say the two ways I always tell people when you're thinking about starting with machine learning or AI in your teams is to think about what problem am I trying to solve? So what challenges or problems are we facing that I would like to find a solution for? Then we map that to, is AI a good use case for solving that problem? The second thing I tell people is become informed, because just like with anything, being informed, understanding what's out there, understanding what it is or does is really important for you, because it will impact you and be a part of your knowledge base in your career. So I promised you if you stuck to the end, I would give you some resources to learn more about machine learning and AI. So these are 3 that I recommend here. One of them is Udacity. It's a course, it's an introductory course. But I would tell you, I put some stats on the last one here. So the Stanford course by Andrew Ng. It's a Coursera course. I did see they just started, if you're watching this video post, in May here in 2020, they just started offering a course on it that was complimentary. There was no cost for it on the one I just saw. That may change, but just as of right now. But I saw some really interesting statistics on the course itself, which showed that, you can see them here on the screen, that 40% of the people started a new career after completing the course, and 38% got a tangible benefit from the course. So some pretty interesting statistics when we look at it, to say this was pretty impactful for a lot of people. So I believe this is our decade of delivery and technology. Excuse me. I put my email here, so you can contact me, Jennifer@Pinklion.ai. I think in the next 10 years, we're going to see massive advancements in technology leveraging AI and machine learning. You'll see one that I'm wearing on my lapel that you could see. There are Pinklion Foundation pins to symbolize our continued collaboration in the space of AI and our desire to broaden collaboration in the space of AI across the globe. So if you send me an email, request a pin, we will ship one out to you to be a part of our Pinklion group that is embracing this decade of delivery for AI and machine learning. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this session, and I hope to get emails or connected with all of you either through email or LinkedIn, and I hope you enjoy the rest of Voice Global. Thanks, everyone.